Hello everybody, it's Bills.com football guy here with another video. No premium prediction video. This is something about realignment, conference craziness. Look, we all know we have the small wave coming up here. Texas State's basically haven't formally done anything yet, but they're going to be joining the Pac-12 soon. The Sun Belt's looking for a replacement school. Y'all need to seriously get over yourselves, because we're not going to looking at a private school that buys their way in. We're not going to bring them into the conference here. We don't want to bring any more former Sun Belt schools in here. You won't have anybody in your damn conference if you keep being that entitled. Grow up here. Because I got news for you. Schools in the American League, Americans raid the Sun Belt to get replacements, and you won't have anybody to replace them with if you keep that attitude up. That's some of y'all Sun Belt fans. Not all of you, but some of you. But Texas State. Pac-12 is also probably adding another school. Could be a full member, could be football only. St. Mary's is coming in. So we're going to have a small little wave of realignment happening as everything rolls downhill. And everybody's assuming, not entirely right, that the big wave, the huge stuff is going to happen 2030, 2032. It could be that wave. The big final one is actually 2036. Not 2031, 2030. No. What happens in 2030, 31? Well, we know that the ACC media deal goes down to $75 million. Anybody wants to jump. I'm saying this out the way. Nobody from the ACC is jumping to the Big 12 in 2031. Nobody's doing it. Because it's not cost effective right now. Because when those schools leave with the uneven revenue, it'll make them more money. And because of what's happened, like Miami pretty much kissed the baby on ever going to the Big Ten of the SEC. I was planning on doing an actual realignment staging video, but I decided I was going to wait on it because I want to see what the Pac-12 does, what the Sun Belt does. Conference USA is going to be losing a school. They're not going to do anything. Not right now. Not until everything gets done. And they're going to be looking at, I think, Tarleton State, Stephen F. Austin. They have some options. So they're going to, and I think Conference USA will end up around 10 to 12 schools, but after all this stuff happens, which for them is fine. Although Sam Houston State may end up being there a cup of coffee and end up in the Sun Belt if they get rated too hard. Just food for thought. But I said 2031, we know what's going to happen. I'm fully believing the fact that ACC is losing 6 schools to the Big Ten and the SEC. I'm a big believer in that. I don't think they're doing this for no reason. It's going to happen. That's going to happen once those schools leave. Do I think that any school goes to the Big 12, the ACC, the Big 12? No, that's done. They're done. That means they go from 17 full members down to 11. Someone said they're going to add 1 school and be done. No. Jim Phillips does not strike me as stupid. He wants to guarantee that no matter what happens, they don't lose their autonomous status. They want to drop below 8. He also wants to guarantee there's no problem with these. Well, they got the contract extension. This isn't about that. This is about guaranteeing the conference is stable. Well, it will be stable. You're not Jim Phillips. You're not the university president. You're not the one with $1 billion contract on the line. They make the call. We don't. And I'm expecting them to add 3. They lose 6. They already have 3 with Cal, Stanford, and SMU. They're going to add 3 more to get back to the 14 for football, 15 for basketball. And this is going to piss some people off, particularly Memphis fans and UNLV fans. You're not getting into the Big 12 in 2031. You're not. Because Big 12 is not going to make a move. They're going to wait on the ACC. The only way they'll make a move is if the SEC grabs Kansas. And then they're going to have to figure something out at that point. If the SEC grabs Kansas, well, they're going to go back to 16. So what are they going to do from there? That's that story. But like I said, I'm going to do a full realignment one down the road. But to give a partial one to give you guys an idea. You're going to do, everything's going to snowball down the road, because the fact is, the American, their media deal ends in 2032 as well. 2030 as well. Not 2032. 2030 as well. They end in 2030. Same time as the Big Ten's deal. So the Big Ten's going to want these schools to give notice, like 2028, 2029. SEC may be doing the same timeline. Because they can get all the schools at one shot. They can pro-rata them and then get the new deal because you're only going to have a couple of years before 2032. Get the deal in, boom. I don't think they're going to wait 31 at the latest. And the problem is the American schools are going to be like, okay. They have no media deal. South Florida and Tulane will probably be gone. A bunch of other things can happen. The Pac-12 can go after schools in that conference because there'll be zero exit fees because there's no media deal. There's no grant of rights. There's no endowment. It ends in 2030. It ends in 2030. They can grab them for zero fees. That will be happening. Then, of course, you've got other deals going there. Basically what's going to be is the Big 10 and the SEC are going to grab their schools from the ACC. The ACC is going to backfill from the American. The American's going to backfill from the Sun Belt, maybe. Because the Pac-12 picks that time to poach. Because everybody said, you look at somebody told me this. All right. Looking at the football standings. Okay, there's 14 schools. No, there's 12 full members. There's 14 for football, 13 for basketball, counting Wichita State. There's only 12. You lose those 3, you're down to 9. If UTSA and North Texas look around at the rest of the conference and realize there's no money, because my personal opinion, this is pre ahead of time. We'll see how this goes here a little bit in a few months. I think the ACC to replace those 3, and I'm going to hear a lot of people, Tar Heel, you're one of them. No, they're not going to do it. Jim Phillips is going to want to guarantee that this never happens. That if they lose another 6 schools, they're at 14, they would drop, if somehow, some way, craziness, doomsday scenario, they lost another 6 schools in 2036, or some crazy situation, worst case scenario, they'd still be at 8 members. They'd still be a conference. They wouldn't lose their autonomous status. He's terrified of that. So he's want to make sure it doesn't happen. So who's the 3 they take? Not Oregon State and Washington State. Tulane, South Florida, UConn. Because you're losing the basketball, so you have to add basketball again. What does that mean? Huge hole in the Big East. What's the best value add? Memphis. Memphis Olympic sports basketball goes to the Big East. Memphis football goes to the Pac-12. Memphis leaves. Does UTSA and North Texas join with them? Does East Carolina try to say, hey, can I be a football only and join y'all in the Pac-12 because you're going to make more money? Because East Carolina, ECU's no slouch, and they don't want to be left behind. They don't want to have that happen. So that's and that on there. And then you talk about just the American on there. Do they raid the Sun Belt for Appalachian State and James Madison and Coastal Carolina? And now they're saying, the fans saying, we don't want to raid Liberty because they bought their way in. Some of the fans, we don't want any of the former schools, and we don't want to have Liberty because Liberty tried to buy their way into everything. They're going to try everything. Welcome to collegiate athletics, you idiot. Everybody's buying everybody. Where the hell have you been? Living under a rock? Maybe. But everybody does it. Everybody. Saying, oh, we're better than that? No. You don't know about it or it's not made public. I'll be betting money on it that they bought somebody for your programs in the Sun Belt. How'd you get that new head coach over at Southern Miss? You bought him away from Marshall, right? Players didn't want to go, got new NIL deals, they left too, supposedly. Rumor and innuendo. Doesn't happen, right? Cheers. Finally, a soda. That was a regret. How strong they are. Okay. Yeah. Don't drink soda that much, sorry. I just needed some sugar to get me going right now. But anyway. Nice more comedy reel. More for the comedy reel on this thing. That's all going to happen. You know, ACC raids the American could possibly lose schools to the Pac-12. American could raid the Sun Belt. Sun Belt raids Conference USA. It all rolls downhill. Big 12 is planning on getting an extension on their deal with reevaluation because pro rata, those famous words, for Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah. Well, with pro rata, this new deal they get one, and they want to have a 5-year deal. Because 5-year deals, you go to market faster. Okay, everybody's doing it, that's fine. Anybody put 2 and 2 together yet? Big 12's deal would end in 2036. The ACC deal ends in 2036. Big 10 and the SEC have made moves, but they never made moves back to back, have they? Never done that. They've never done and then bam, did something right afterwards. In Texas, they're not making a move until 5 years. They're going to wait a few years to see something happens. You think they're going to add all these 4 schools and then go make a subdivision or a Super League right after? No, they're going to see, okay, we're both at 20. Can we survive in this climate? No. We need to do this when we have the most upheaval possible and we can go in there and make the moves. When would that be? Not most impossible, but most have enough time to go through on there and things happen because everybody's talking about the fact they created a new subdivision and Rand Paul, I think, is the one who, if I'm wrong, I apologize, just introduced legislation for the antitrust exemption for the NCAA. If they make a new sub-league, new subdivision, conferences move up to the whole new thing. That was the United Athletic Conference, got their move pre-approved, never went through because the money didn't drive for it. But the whole conference can move up, right? The conference completes all paperwork, and the conference and the schools pay all appropriate fees, and everything can happen. But you got to pay all the fees and do all that stuff. So the SEC could move up. The create new subdivision. SEC moves up. Big 10 moves up. Big 12 moves up. ACC moves up. Unless it's based on revenue sharing and like the Big 10 and the SEC want, have a higher ceiling and a floor. Like instead of being 20 million, the floor is 50 million. The ceiling is 20 million. The ceiling is 50 million, maybe 60. And you got to spend a minimum of 15 to 20 million a year to even be in there. Possibly put up a bond to get money to guarantee you can pay. If they increase the money to 50 million, and if you don't pay over time, you can get demoted out to guarantee the ones who can pay stay. How many from the here's a question here. And this is for Big 12 fans and for ACC fans. Not what if, look it up. How many schools are paying max? Not max percentage, max dollar amount, the 20 million. How many are paying the 20? How many? Not the entire conference. If they put up with a 20 million minimum, look at the schools that are paying 15, 18, 20 now. They'll get on the floor. It's not going to be everybody in the Big 12. It's not going to be everybody in the ACC. You wait till 2036. What happens? Oh, gee, everybody's grant of rights is open at the same time. Big 10 and SEC move up. Not all the schools can afford to go. Maybe they form a new conference in the new subdivision. All the schools that can afford to move up go up. And the remaining schools, Big 12 and ACC, completely destroy the G5, or perhaps they merge and become in FBS the new ultimate Power 1, because they'd have better than Pac-12, no matter how good they say. If the remnants of the Big 12 and the ACC combined, it'd be over. So we have our initial little wave here, little ripple. 2031, the Big 10 makes its moves and the snowball downhill. We could see the other Big 10, the subdivision, new subdivision, Super League, whatever the hell you want to call it, 2036, when the Big 12 and the ACC's contracts both come up at the same time. So this is not over. We got 10 more years before, because the fact is, what I said about this, Big 12 is going to could choose to expand with private equity. They're not going to do it in 2031 because they're going to wait to see what happens with the ACC, but it's also this stuff. And find out what happens. And if they don't move up, and they move up or whatever, and they don't add any G5s, any chance, because if the Big 12 expands to 20, ACC goes 12, 14, they're not adding anybody else. They're done. They're going to shut it. Because the Big 10 and the SEC have taken all they wanted, it's done. At that level, it'll be done. There'll be nothing else to do. except maybe adding Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's not doing it. So if a Memphis, a UNLV, an Oregon State, a Washington State, because ACC, I said, South Florida, Tulane, UConn, if they get pillaged badly, Oregon State and Washington State are on the list. San Diego State and Colorado State are on the list because they're both R1. Rice is on the list because they're R1 and AAU. Believe it or not, UTSA is R1, I believe. But is their research spending enough? That's the whole reason why Florida State is being with the Big Ten. Why Oregon was at the Big Ten. Oregon's an AAU university. Yeah, look at their research spending compared to everybody else. They're woefully behind. And Oregon State and Florida State's maybe a little bit below them, below Oregon. So Florida State being bad. I mean, Florida State and Oregon. But yeah, so your research spending also figures into getting in the Big Ten. Research spending in a way is a favor of the ACC, but it's primarily academics and like-minded universities. That's why there's the possibility of football only is in the ACC. Of basketball, another basketball only, possibly down the road. We don't know. What I've been hearing from people I've been talking to around the ACC, not on X or YouTube, but around there, is basically Jim Phillips does not want to get caught flat-footed like the Pac-12 did. He does not want to have the fact that a bunch of schools bolt and they lose their autonomous status. They do not want that to be happening, and they will do anything to make sure that it doesn't. If that means they have to go back up to 14 for football and 15 for basketball, so be it, to guarantee they have enough schools to exist. They want to keep that spot, no matter what. So, make for that what you will. Now I've done enough yapping about it. Time for you to let me know what you think about all this down in the comments. So thanks everybody for watching the video. If you haven't done it already, please do me the favor. Smash the like button, hit the thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. Helps the video be seen by more people. Helps YouTube promote it more. Comment on the video. We're going to have our little bit of realignment. Who you think is going to happen? The Sun Belt, we don't want this. Who the hell is the Sun Belt going to take? Because Sam Houston State right now, Sun Belt's requirements are lower than the Mountain West and lower than the Pac-12's. But Sam Houston doesn't want to move right now because their facilities aren't up to par. And I don't think the Sun Belt wants Sam Houston right now, because now in 5 years, Sam Houston builds themselves up. They lose more schools. Hey, Sam Houston, come on over to conference. Leave Conference USA. Come on over to the Sun Belt. We're going to see that's happened. Is Conference USA going to end anybody? Not right now. Let me know what you think what's going to happen with that down in the comments. 2031, we know the Big Ten and the SEC are going to make their moves. I don't see the Big 12 or the ACC poaching anybody then. Either one making a move either way, because both of them are going to be unsure what the hell's going on, especially with 2036 looming on the horizon and both contracts coming up. Could there be some crazy mergers? And who the hell knows what the hell's going to happen? There's all sorts of crazy things going on. And then 2036, I think, is if there's going to be a new subdivision, that's what's going to happen, because you go with 20 schools and then you go 5 years and you have, if they can get the antitrust exemption by then. Okay, we have our 20, we have the antitrust exemption. Let's run through, can we hold this work? If it doesn't work, okay, we've done everything. It's time for the subdivision. And they'll do that 2036. Coinciding around that time, so that way the ACC and the Big 12's out. So if they do want to add more schools on a whim, they can do it without having to pay any exit fees. So let me know what you think about that down in the comments. Share the video if you want to, and if you haven't done it already, check out some of the other videos I've done. If you like it, hey, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, the phone's getting a little hot here. I gotta hurry this up. On the way to 1K, trying to make some magic happen. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope everybody's having a great day. It is hot. Be safe out there, and please be good to each other.